Greetings, Earthlings. How are you today? My name's Daisy and I teach harmonium, sound, mantra, mainly to yoga teachers, but also sound practitioners and anyone who is drawn to the power of sound to bring harmony into our lives. In this video, let's explore how to approach the harmonium in a way that is right for you. And by this, I mean that there isn't a right or wrong way to learn this beautiful instrument. But there are different ways. My inspiration for this video has kind of come about because I make some posts every now and then about my course for the harmonium, which is primarily aimed at yoga teachers. But from time to time, I see comments underneath saying, learn the harmonium properly, first learn swaras, then play properly, then teach it, and you might not know what swara is, and you might think that's a bit rude, which I think it kind of is, but they do have a point in a certain way, and this is what I want to explain today, because I also feel that if you come to the harmonium from a path which isn't right for you, for example, you go and try and learn to play the harmonium in India, and you are taught the raga system in the context that you've never had any musical training whatsoever, I think it's quite reasonable for you to come away feeling overwhelmed. And that's because the system of Indian classical music is mastered over many years from a very young age. And when you come to it as an adult, it's also taught in a different language, even though it's translated to English. There's a whole different system of learning scales. Another part of it is that the sounds are very unfamiliar. So the basis of the scales for the Western ear can be very unusual. And so there are many, many dimensions to kind of get your head around. And at the same time, you may lose sight of why it was that you wanted to learn the harmonium in the first place. And I've met many people who've had this experience. They tried to learn, I found a YouTube video from someone teaching in the Indian style and just gave up. So I am on the other side of things where I teach primarily chord-based style of playing. So this is based on the Western system of chords, major and minor. And in many ways, it's a much simpler way to approach it, especially if you are from a Western background. And this is for several reasons, which I will go into. The other thing is I don't teach reading music either. So it is a simplified version of that. But like many instruments, like the guitar, or, you don't have to learn to read music in order to understand the fundamentals of music. So I want to talk about how these two paths can actually ultimately converge and to tap into what our intention is behind our motivation to want to play the instrument in the first place, because I personally think that makes a big difference. And in addition, how much time you're willing to dedicate to that. And so once we know these things, then we can act accordingly. So let's dive into it first. Let's talk about what are your intentions. So you've heard the harmonium. You are like, wow, what a beautiful sound. Maybe you heard it in a yoga class. Maybe you went to a kirtan. Maybe you were in an Indian classical concert. Maybe you went to, an ISKCON gathering and you were exposed to their kirtans, which are on a different level altogether. It doesn't matter where you heard it from, but what has it sparked inside of you? Because this is an instrument of devotional music. And what are we devoted to? In the end, for me, I basically want to sing to God. I want to sing to life as God. And when I sit down with this instrument, it makes it very easy to do that. But the interesting thing, I think, in a way, is that although I am a musician and I love to sing songs, I love to sing mantras, the main way that I play this instrument is by simply holding down two notes, making a drone and chanting bija mantras or the sound of Om. And this is what I do basically every day, maybe twice a day. And sometimes I practice my musicality with it, but many times I just sit and dwell on the sound. So this is the starting point in a way. I seek silence through the sound. So I actually come towards the harmonium mainly because of the sound, not even because of the musical capacity. So that's the other part. So you want to sing to God, you want to seek the silence through sound. Maybe you want to sing like Krishna Das, for example, or maybe you're inspired by someone like Janavi Harrison or Tahir Kawal, and they use the harmonium very, very much based on the raga system, Sare Gama Pada Ni Sa. Cool. They use 10 parent scales, which is tats, and these form the roots of the ragas. And these musicians are incredibly high level. And maybe you feel a spark and a desire to cultivate that mastery of instrument and voice. And that's beautiful if you know that. Maybe you just want to open a class with a mantra, a yoga class, bring people from head to heart with the sound of the harmonium. Maybe you want to end that yoga class with singing a mantra from your heart and giving a little bit sweetness of that melody, that joy, that ease for others to sing along with you. And maybe you even want to hold your own kirtans, but you mainly want to sing from the heart. This is what has come up again and again, is that most of the people that I meet are yoga teachers or yoga teacher trainees, or they are sound therapists. And the primary intention is more in the direction of bringing harmony, coming to the heart, uplifting the field with that intention and that connecting force to a sense of the divine. And so, first of all, take a moment and see what is it for you. Maybe it's several. Maybe write them down and just reflect on what I will now share about the process of learning, either from the Indian classical style or from the way that I would teach it. I am also a student of Indian classical music. I absolutely love the sound of it. I aspire towards being able to sing like that. And I have a teacher, and I doggedly sit down for my practice and work through my scales and learn these kind of folk tunes called bandishes. And over a couple of years, I've learned a handful of songs. And I'm just slowly, step by step, going along. And I'm not even using the harmonium for this, but what I've found to get the foundation has actually taken me nearly 5 years. And this is with a background of classical Western training of music. I'm not a 5-year-old that I can just sit there for hours and do this. And this is the case for most people that I meet these days. If you have a lot of time with your hands and you have a lot of, resources that you can just go and sit with a master in India, I highly recommend you do it if you have that drive and motivation. I certainly have the longing to do that. And when it comes to learning this with the harmonium or any classical instrument, it is going to require those hours. So this is, I think, something that needs the support of a live teacher, of community, of someone who's going to keep you moving through the ups and downs of this and guide your practice. So this is the Hindustani path. You may be feeling like, this is for me, but I am guessing that for most of you, probably not. So let's get a little bit, slightly cooler or warmer, just move a bit more inwards to what might be a bit more feasible. So I'm going to talk about this semi-classical approach. So it's still based on the 10 tats, but it's not got the same rules as ragas, which is that it has to be played in this time of the day, whether it's rainy season or not. But there's still 10 scales which are very unusual sounding, and it's still based on the system of Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa. And this is quite interesting because with Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa, you can start your Sa at any note. You can move it up and down. And this in itself is it's a skill to have, to be able to learn the scales starting on different notes and put your ear to the melody, and at the same time put the appropriate drone with that. So I'll play a little example now so that you can get a taste of it. Maybe I clip this. Hey Madhava Madhusudana Shri Keshava Narayana Rama Krishna Govinda Narayana Rama Krishna So here I'm going to play it again, but without that drone sound that I added, this extra note. Hey Madhava Madhusudana Shri Keshava Narayana Rama Krishna Govinda Narayana Rama Krishna Govinda Narayana. So maybe still think it sounds nice, I don't know. But can you hear that it's quite a thin sound without the supporting second note? And I feel that this is actually something really hard to master if you haven't already got a basis in music. And I have actually come to it quite intuitively, I would say, because of having had training in Western style chords. And coming down to your intentions and your willingness to go into it, it does take time to be able to make something that is sing-alongable, you know, even for yourself. With the other melodies, it can be much faster. And I know we're living in a time of instant gratification, and so anything that kind of counters that I definitely feel is a good thing. But can be a case of running before you can walk. And in the case of many people that I've met, it's just overwhelming, like I mentioned before. So I don't want to say, I really like having this fluffy thing here. It gives me something to do with my hands when I'm not playing harmonium. So yes, we have to give ourselves grace, especially when we want to learn an instrument that we ultimately probably want to, you know, allow grace to flow through us whilst we are playing. If we start already from this very critical standpoint, it's going to be, you know, another thing that we beat ourselves up with. And so let's now come to my approach, or maybe the Western approach. And there you can learn the harmonium with music, reading the musical notes. And I've got a couple of books which you can do that. But actually, I don't think it's really necessary. And please argue below if you disagree with me. I'm really interested to have a conversation about this. What I realized very early on is that it doesn't really need that much of musical skill to get started and play something where a group of people can come together, sing from the heart, and really have a really good time, you know. Not just getting their rocks off, but dwelling in the heart as they sing. And actually, I found that with the simpler it is, the more inviting it can be. And so I devised a system based on the white notes, learning just the white notes first, not even worrying about the black notes, just learning 6 basic chords. And from there, building up the knowledge of the keyboard and essentially learning it in a way that it's more from muscle memory. And yes, of course, you have to put in a couple of weeks of a bit of graft to, know the notes. But actually, there's only seven letters that you need to learn. And then it's kind of, I always say copy paste, you know, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And then the black notes are named based on the white notes. So I've kind of created a step-by-step thing to teach in this way. And I find it quite fun, and I found it very effective, actually. To create this kind of possibility where at each point we're not getting overwhelmed, so that we can meditate. So even if we have just a 3-chord bhajan, you know, A minor, F, G, that after some time we get to grips with that, we can really sink into the sound of the harmonium. We can really just start to enjoy it without a struggle. We can focus on also pumping smoothly, and we can really tune into where we want our voice to come from. We can listen to our own voice. We can listen to the quality of the sound that we're producing, and even not come from it from the point of view as a musician, you know, because I think that holding space in a kirtan setting is actually a very unique one, because you're bringing together elements of music, elements of meditation, and also elements of group kind of teaching, as well as creativity, co-creativity. You're not just saying, do what I tell you. You're saying, like, bring yourself, offer yourself. What you do matters, which is actually different from a yoga class in a way, saying like everybody going to triangle. It's like saying, no, what you pour in through your heart is going to really make a difference to the sound that we're all experiencing and where this journey takes us. So it kind of takes that centralization of where we put the focus. Yes, there needs to be some basic musicality, but again, it comes back to intention. Like, what is your intention with the space that you want to create, whether it's just for yourself or with the group in front of you? And actually, ease is a big one. So it's, in my opinion, again, my opinion only, and from my experience of what I've seen with others, it's more important to bring in ease and simplicity. And then when you have that, and you're not really focusing, you're not stuck to a piece of paper going, oh, what's A minor? So it's A, C, E, and they've written it out, A, C, E on the paper, A, C, E, and then they're playing here, and then the group is there, and you're struggling like this in there. No, it's like, okay, I know this one. It's just D minor and C, D minor and C. And, you're able to do that. You're able to pump and speak at the same time so that it's already creating that vibe. You can even give guidance with that sound. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. And you can also, invite people to sing from the heart whilst doing that. And then you can sing from your heart as well, because you are not challenged in a technical way. And I feel that this is a great way to start off your journey, building that confidence very slowly and from a joyful place right from the beginning. I don't know that many people who need more things to really go hard at these days. I think that when you get to a place where you touch that desire from a deep place and you've established a kind of a foundation, that's where that drive really can have legs, and then you can build on consistency. But in this day and age, we're also so fragmented and so disjointed that it is difficult for most people to just drive forward and stay committed to something. That's why, here's the other point really, is that I view this instrument as a very healing instrument. It's more tonic to be able to sit down and play it. So again, going back to our intentions at the start, and also my intentions as a teacher of this instrument, it's like I want whoever comes to sit down with the harmonium to feel peace when they play, to feel wholeness, to feel oneness, to bring the scattered frequency of thoughts into a singularity so that they can feel themselves again, first and foremost. Because when we come to that place, we can be connected to who we are, and this is where the nectar of our being also can overflow. And guess what? When we sing from there, this is also what's transmitted. I've played with many very fine musicians who just stuck in the head, and you can't tune into that vibe, and they may be a world-class tabla player, but they're just doing their own thing. And so I'd much rather play with someone who can play a simple beat but is able to tune in, and we create that. Again, the cooperative nature of kirtan, it's not just look at me, it's my kirtan. It's like it's a we. And this is very, very healthy again for our, me society, this I society. So I hope that this has been helpful in your journey to deciding whether you would like to play the harmonium. And I think I just would like to leave with the last aspect, which I did already touch upon, but I just want to reiterate it, because even if you're not even ready for that musical aspect with the chords yet, like I said, the main way that I play the harmonium is just to put these two notes down. I don't even play them. I do a trick. I take these springs off here, and then I just pump, and then I sit and chant Om. And so can you see how simple that is? don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be a musician. You just have to be you and have a love for this sound, have a sense that it can help you travel inwards and bring that unification, that harmony, that connection that you are seeking, and that you don't need to struggle for it either. Maybe struggle will come at some point, but only if you want it. And yeah, I'm here if you want to ask any questions about it. And if you would like to check out my mini course for yoga teachers, it's at the moment only $7. And if you want to check out the whole system I mentioned earlier, that's called Harmonium Freedom. And I've made an app where it's in there and you can open each day's lesson like a little advent calendar, again, to avoid overwhelm. And if you're already knowing chords and so on, I've also made a mantra library inside of this app as well. All the details I will post below in the description. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to support my channel and what I do, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to connecting with you, singing with you, and journeying on the waves of sound to the silence within. Much love.